All right, let's get this show on the road. All right, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's had a good, nice weekend so far. I hope everyone's getting well rested and just having a good time overall. But all right, let's do what we always do, and get ready for the week ahead. Last week was definitely the pretty much the Super Bowl of everything going on. We had major cap earnings from Apple, Amazon, Google. Yeah, it was definitely a slugfest as far as the earnings goes, and then we also had the Fed on top of that, which was also a big one. Speaking of Fed, if you didn't get the memo, uh, you know they raised rates again, 25 basis points. And that was expected. That's what we've been really looking forward to. There was no surprise there. And then Powell got to speaking, and he did not do anything to really scare off market bulls. In fact, we had this crazy bull rally over the past few days, and the market continues to eat up uh, bad news. Bad news. Even Apple itself had pretty bad earnings, and we continue to rally off of that. So, not to mention the crazy jobs reports that we've had. We got over 500K when we were expecting like 157K. We just totally blew that out of the water. So, if we're headed for a recession, it's not really showing it just yet. So, that's the thing though. We kind of talked about that a little bit in chat the other day where I think Stockfather posted something in and I think it's more important to focus in on the data as it comes in. That way you're not giving yourself a headache and doing anything to keep yourself up at night. Just focus on the day-to-day data and we'll take it as it comes. We'll play the price action. Price pays. We're not trying to predict the future here. We've been very successful with what we do, and we're proud of that. Uh, you know, with everything going on, we got a little bit of a light week this week, which is kind of nice. Starting off Monday, it is a quiet day. We don't really have any economic data to go over, so we do have earnings from Lowe's. I think that'll be an interesting one. They've been trying to take away market share from Home Depot there. So I think Lowe's is going to be a pretty interesting one. That's going to be one that I'm going to take a peek at. Tuesday, we get the trade balance. We have earnings from RCL. That one could be a little interesting, especially with things opening up. We'll see if people are traveling a lot more because we've seen airlines do really well over the past few weeks. So we'll see if that translates into cruise lines as well. Tuesday, also, we need to be paying attention here because Powell does speak on Tuesday afternoon, right around noon. So we'll definitely have to keep our ears and eyes peeled for that to see if he says anything that he didn't really get to go over on Wednesday, because a lot of the questions that the reporters were asking him on Wednesday really just kind of set him up for him to keep kind of going on uh, not so hawkish. He even threw in the disinflationary term out there, and of course, we ran with it. And looking at some of the future predictions, it seems like the market is trying to price in that they are going to cut rates towards the end of the year. We'll see. Read into that as you will. I personally don't see that happening, but I'm not gonna smash my head up against the wall, trying to think about that. So we'll see. But that's what the market seems to be pricing in. So yeah, we got Powell speaking in on Tuesday. We'll see if he says anything to either spook the markets or give the market any more fuel. Who knows? It could just be a nothing burger. After hours, we do have earnings from Enphase. That we are expecting a beat on Enphase, so that one could be kind of interesting. That used to be a leader, now it just kind of is falling off the way a little bit. Wednesday we have earnings from CVS. We do have some Fed speakers. We got Williams, we got Barr, and we got Waller. And then after hours, you got a little bit of these high short interest names from a firm. We got Robinhood reporting their earnings on Wednesday. And then we also have Disney. Disney should be a pretty interesting one. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on that one because Bob Iger is back. You got some pretty big involvement in that one on Disney. Not from us, just hedge funds and all that kind of good stuff. So we'll the expected we are expecting an earnings miss or a decline is expected as far as Disney goes. So we'll see. Maybe we'll see what all they've been able to capture as far as Avatar goes and all that kind of good stuff. Thursday we have our weekly jobless claims, and last week we had our monthly jobs reports and non-farm payrolls, and that just blew things out of the water. We'll see if we get any new data prints off of that. It is definitely going to be a highly watched situation. That non-farm payroll is just out of this world. We do have earnings from Pepsi, Lyft, PayPal. PayPal is expected to be a beat. And then Friday, the only thing we got to deal with is consumer sentiment. Now, the following week, it is going to be pretty crazy. We do have CPI, core PPI, and all that kind of good stuff. So, yeah, Nick, the following week is going to be pretty heavy. This week, we just got to get through Powell. We'll see if the jobless claims gets any kind of any more interesting there. Let's see. Other than that, easy peasy. We're through the big hunk of things, and like I said, we've gotten through the earnings of Apple, Amazon, Google. We're through halfway of the S&P 500 earnings. 70% have beaten their EPS, and 61% have beaten their revenue expectations as well. And then, of course, we have tons and tons of companies out there doing buybacks, and Biden's mad about ExxonMobil or CBX, whoever, doing all those buybacks. Shame on them. But hey, they're doing what they believe is in their best interest, and as well as their investor interest. So get into that as you will. But all right, so let's get into things. Let me go over here. Yep, there we go. I think everybody on the lives are good. But if you're joining us on the media, welcome aboard. If you have any questions, feel free to type them out. And we will take a look at any ticker requests or any questions you may have. Good evening, everybody in the Discord. Hope y'all are doing a-okay. Same thing for y'all. If y'all have any questions, feel free to shout them out. We'll take a look at them. Starting out, yeah, I think the easy move has pretty much been made. We talked a little bit, and this was in my notes over the past few weeks. We kind of talked about how this 4180 level was our overall target, and we've had this level drawn out for quite some time. This was our measured move from the prior low to the prior swing high, and there we go. So 4180, we did not since then. So the easy move has definitely been made. 4,300 on the SPX is definitely going to be our next target, but I don't think it's going to come so easy. There are some cautionary signs, and like I said, the market does continue to eat up bad news, bad earnings. We've seen it with Apple. I mean, Apple, their earnings weren't great by any means. And look at this day. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. Sorry, I got some old drawings on there we can get rid of, but yeah, absolutely crazy day, up 2.5%, just about. Hit 158 at one point, and you know, it's just been on. The market continues to be pretty darn resilient, and things like this don't happen in a bear market, so to speak. We don't gap down and then just rally like we've been doing, and getting the bad news that continuously get fed in. We just keep continuing to push higher, but we do have to be cautious, because one thing that we got to pay attention to is some of these other influences. The dollar is putting in a little bit of a trap here at 101.40. It broke below support, and now since then we have rallied on higher. So if the dollar continues to push on higher, especially above this 103.50, 104 zone, then yeah, that could definitely be a headwind for our risk on assets. So we definitely want to pay attention to this. But if the dollar does kind of hit itself on this 103.50 and moves lower, then sure, we are a-okay here, because this was Prior support, prior support, prior support. Does this prior support now become new resistance? Stay tuned. We'll find out. So we definitely want to pay attention to what the dollar is doing. We also need to pay attention to the 10-year yields here, the TNX, not Texas Instruments. Tech the oh Lord, I'm getting sidetracked here. Getting my letters confused. The 10-year Treasury yield, bouncing off the daily 200 SMA. It's also putting in a double bottom right here, so we definitely want to pay attention to the 10-year rates. If this does continue to push, that can also be a headwind. But for the most part, things are pretty. The easy moves have definitely been made, no doubt about that. And things have definitely rallied, especially with big tech, high beta names. They could most definitely see a cool down, and you kind of saw that, on Friday. We had a pretty big move on Friday, even on big news. But you're going to see a lot of these shooter candles here on your daily prints, and shooter candles are usually a signal of reversal. And just like how the bears got tired down here, this is pretty much what seems to be occurring up here. That the bears got pretty darn exhausted, and finally the bulls kind of just took over. And even here too, you had this nice little trap here, and then off we went. So this is kind of the evidence that I'm kind of looking at right now. The bulls are just a little bit tired. They need to kind of gather themselves. So it wouldn't be any surprise to me if we do get some sort of pullback. It is healthy for the market to do so. The market doesn't go up all the time, just like it doesn't go down all the time. It needs to breathe. It needs to move and digest. It needs to, kind of gather itself and then move on from there. So yeah, the strongest names out there, yeah, a little bit tired, and you're going to see these shooter candles out there. We do have a bullish moving crossover here, the 50 going above the 200. Sure, people call that the golden cross, but it can also mean indecision there. And just as far as moving averages go, you need more. Just because they cross over and below each other isn't the whole telltale sign. You need other evidence to support things. Now, I did confirm that on balance volume did confirm the move to the upside, so there is that. So we don't have that divergence going on. That's one thing that I definitely wanted to keep an eye on, was to make sure that we didn't have any kind of negative divergence there. But as far as everything goes for the SPY, sure, we are extended, and we could get a reversion to the mean. If that is the case, so be it. What I'm trying to get at is, when you look at your charts for this week, look at where things are in regards to their support and resistance. If you're closer to resistance than you are support, there's not much meat left in the bone. So it's going to be a little bit better, in my opinion, to maybe focus in a little bit more on day trades and not go heavy on swings to the long side for the time being. Now, granted, we could just continue to go higher. I'm not going to, pass that out. If we do get a move above 416, 418, sure, 420 can come, and then of course 430 to the upside is going to be pretty important. But a pullback to about 407, 410 support. That's kind of what I'm looking at. 410 to 407 support to hold. If we hold this level, then sure, we can definitely move up to about 420 and kind of go from there. But overall, things are looking pretty good here for the bulls. We're just at this really interesting situation where we got our overhead resistance and we're just a little bit tired. Market needs to consolidate through price and time. So that's just all I'm saying there. The Qs, of course, continue to be impressive. Technically speaking and structurally speaking, they are still the laggard, and it can still continue to play catch up. And this is where the most shorted stocks are, the Qs and the IWM. You do have resistance up here at about 320.50. But yeah, we are a little bit extended here. A support to pull back at around this 296.50 and the daily 200. If we do lose the daily 200, sure, we can we can talk to see if we get a hold here at about 283, but we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if we do get a pullback to at least this 296.50 level this week, but we'll see. The IWM, let's keep on moving here. The IWM small caps, very impressive move. I am pretty proud that we caught this move from 190 all the way up to 195. We would have probably swung that had it not been for Powell, but we definitely captured this break above 190 and took advantage of the break all the way up to 195. Definitely impressive move here. Leading in terms of structure and momentum, you can see that we definitely had the crossover back here. Let's see here. 200 is going to be a big spot. If we can get a break above 200, sure, we could see about 207.50. As far as support goes, 195.50 and then 190 if we want to get a retest of 190 where prior resistance should become new support. So if we do get a pullback, look to see if 190 holds, and then we can go from there. Let's see here. The Dow. The Dow is pretty much in consolidation. Not too much going on here, mainly because most of the attention has been going, turning their focus to big tech and high beta names. And the Dow has been the main leader. So most of the movement has just kind of turned its attention from the Dow to big tech. So pretty much sideways consolidation. If we do lose the daily 50 though, that's when I get a little bit more bearish on the Dow names. I'd rather see it hold the 336, 335 zone. If not, then sure, we can put our bear cap here. But if we do break above this 343.50 level, our next spot hit is about 348.20 and take on this high here at about 348.20, like I said. Let's see here. Let's move on. China, K-Web. This one's turned a little bit sideways. Fez, are you saying you or is that the ticker name? UYOU? That's interesting. Yeah, we'll take a look. K-Web, China, definitely taking a little bit of a breather here as well. Maybe some rotation going on here. Trying to hold on 33.30. If we do get a break of 33.30, yeah, we could get a retest of this 32.05. Yeah, Baba has had its head hit up on the wall there a little bit, just coming down pretty nastily. Trying to retest this 105 mark here, and we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, K Web definitely not as impressive last week as it has been in the past. But for the most part, still holding structure, still holding trend. I still have a long position here, but if it loses support, then I'm definitely going to be out of the picture here until it turns itself back around. But we all know that China does tend to do its own little things. We'll have to pay attention and see what happens. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. Let's go over. Let's see. We already talked about the dollar dynamics. We talked about the TNX. Let's go over to crude oil. Crude oil looks completely busted. Yeah, we weren't able to break above 82.64. In fact, we're just kind of fallen way on back down to this little bit of a support level here at about that 73.50 mark. But for the most part, uh, we also noticed that there was a lot of put buying. Shout out to A's in our Discord. We had a lot of put buying being bought up in the oil and energy ETFs, and we also took some XLE puts ourselves. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But big money seems to be putting some big bets on crude oil, on a lot of the energy ETFs. So we're just going to see if we can ride those coattails a little bit to the downside. We do have a little bit of a support here at about the 70 mark, but if we lose 70, the next spot I see is 60 down here for crude oil, but it's not looking too good by any means. So first things first, it's got to crack 73.50 to take on 70. And then, of course, you can't really get bullish until you break 82.64. So that's where we're at with crude oil. If we take a look at natural gas, This is why we don't buy the dip. You don't try to catch a falling knife. Let me pull up the weekly chart here real quick. So here's the weekly chart on natural gas, just absolutely punched straight in the face. Yeah, sure. You had support at 5. You broke through support. My next level here on nat gas was around this 375 mark. That's where the weekly 200 was at, as well as this support down here. We completely knifed through that, continuing to fall for 1, 2, 3, 4 more weeks. Now we're trying to maybe form a base here at 240, but even still, we haven't really uh, found any kind of support here. So I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole, not unless I get, some sort of weekly reversal candle. And we most certainly don't have that. It might not be for another few weeks till we get a complete reversal pattern to kind of go off of. But yeah, natural gas is completely busted. I would definitely stay away from it if I were you. If we go to copper here, copper, yeah, it's not the most ideal situation. It doesn't look as bad on the weekly chart, but if you look at the daily chart, you do have this nasty little rounding top situation, and you had this big push above this $4 mark, and you're finally getting a possible retest, possible throwback here. I don't like it below $4. If we lose 4, that could just be a false breakout confirmed with all this movement that we've had over the past few weeks, and you definitely don't want to see it. But if she does hold this $4 level, could be a good possible place to buy the dip if you want to try to get a good spot here on copper. But one of the main things that I definitely don't like to see is this movement on silver futures and even gold futures. Silver futures just absolutely got rocked the other day, and you can see that you had this nice little zone trading off of between 23 and like 24.50, and you just knifed through support. And now, I mean, the only thing I see, you lost the daily 50 as well, and nothing really happened. Nothing good really happens below the daily 50, even the daily 200. But I don't see much support until you really come back to the daily 200, maybe even this 2075 mark. So definitely staying away from silver. The same thing can happen with copper. Gold also, mentioned gold here. Gold still pretty ugly. You have this little bit of a trap here pattern. I think some people call it a top hat. Looks like a little bit of a top hat. So you can draw a little man here if you want. Actually, he'd probably be frowning right here because down you kind of go. I know that's probably funny technical, but anyway, you have this trap here, and down you've kind of busted, and now we're just kind of seeing if this 1885 level holds where it was prior resistance, it was prior support, prior resistance. Now we're just kind of back at this level. We'll see. And we kind of talked about this last week, where if you zoom out on a crazy, crazy monthly chart, let's see, we'll have to zoom out quite a bit. It's actually kind of wild how much you have to zoom out on gold. Yeah, like 20 years worth of data. You still got this rounding bottom, maybe a cup and handle. This is 20 years in the making. Yeah, just, really hasn't gone anywhere. Of course, we got our alert set up here at about that 2100 mark. And, right now, just not doing much. On the shorter term time frame, not looking good. On the longer term time frame, maybe. We'll see. Ask me in a few years. A few years or longer, we'll see. Let's see, Bitcoin. Let's go over Bitcoin real quick. Bitcoin's had a pretty amazing move over the past few weeks, consolidating for the time being, can continue to squeeze alongside tech. Overhead target 25K, above 25K, you get about 27,500, and then 29-ish, maybe 30. For the most part, sure, it's had this wonderful move here. I still want to see, things kind of unfold here as far as crypto goes. like I said, it's not my cup of tea. We do have crypto guys and crypto experts within the group, so you can definitely ask them how they feel about it. But from a technical standpoint, right now it's just consolidating. If we do get a break above, maybe 24.5, could see 25K and then 28. But if you lose, what is that, 23K, you could get a retest of 21 500, where this big resistance level was kind of keeping us down for quite some time. So, yeah, just a little bit tight consolidation for Bitcoin. Nothing too exciting going on there, since the main focus has been, uh, the big boy, big tech, high beta names. Let's see here. Oh yeah, VIX. Sure, we can take a look at the VIX, because the VIX, you do have this falling wedge pattern. The VIX does tend to like falling wedge patterns, even though, the VIX is a hard instrument to really base technical analysis off of. It just kind of has a mind of its own, and you could, there's a lot of people out there going, "Oh, the VIX is broken." The VIX is broken because they've introduced zero DTE. But regardless, we still have our levels to kind of key off of. We don't have the breakout just yet. It has to break out above the wedge for it to be actionable. We've gotten these pops to 20, and every time we get to 20, it just slides on further down into new yearly lows. So as far as the VIX goes, we'll keep an eye on it. It's not really there yet or doing anything significant just yet. Someone the other day was like, "Well, it's up 5%." Yeah, but it's not doing anything. VIX is below 20, 22. I mean, there's zero fear. There's like the volatility is just, no one's, if you took the fear and greed index and, looked at it, there's a lot of greed out there. They're almost at extreme greed out there right now. So as far as the VIX goes, it's low. We'll see what happens. If it breaks out, it breaks out. That could act as a headwind for the markets. Of course, the dollar at that point could. All right. See, Stock Curry just says we are in extreme greed already. So, if the VIX does want to break out, we'll be aware of it. Above 20 could be interesting. Above 21, 22, sure, it gets really interesting. And then we'll just have to turn our bull cap around and buy some puts and just take things down. So, definitely going to have to pay attention to the VIX. We're going to have to pay attention to the dollar. We're going to have to pay attention to the bond yields. We're going to be aware of it. We got our key levels drawn out, we got our alerts set up. So, we're good to go. So, we don't have to think about it too much, but definitely have it in the back of your mind. What's the VIX doing today? Is it up? Is it down? Is it sideways? If it's down, that probably means the market is trending to the upside. If it's, trying to curl up, that's probably a headwind there. Of course, as far as everything goes, we still are in a incredibly inverted 2-year, 10-year yield curve. Don't want to ignore this. I say it every week. We need to keep an eye on that, because technically speaking, uh, black swan event kind of situation. So, as far as the everything else goes, I- the easy move has been done. Uh, Plain and simple. We had our move to 4180 on the SPX. We got our move, a new weekly high on the SPY above 410. You do have a little bit of that, just getting tired. Bulls are getting tired here. Sure, it makes sense. There's been a lot going on in the market. And then, from our risk to reward spectrum, uh, how much meat is left in the bone on your charts? Are we closer to resistance than we are at support? If so, you can either, day trade your key level breakouts and just raise your stops as you go, or you can wait for things to pull back and give you a much better risk to reward. Do you want to buy things that are right up here at exhaustion, right at resistance, or do you want to buy on a pullback, a buy the dip opportunity, and then push on ahead? So definitely try to think about that as we progress throughout the week. Let's see. As far as everything goes, sure, we'll keep our eyes on the main big tech guys, especially semiconductors. Semiconductors has just been absolutely smashing it. Nvidia continues to be impressive. AMD had a great week last week off of their earnings. They had a little bit of a quiet day on Friday. We'll see if we get any kind of pullback. I do like the looks of UPS. You do have a nice little move above this 183.64. Now we're just kind of consolidating. So I'm going to be looking out for a move above 192. If we do get a move above 192, just mainly looking for about 197 50. I like John Deere, possibly to the downside. John Deere used to be one of the leading names. Now it's just kind of falling off to the wayward side. We did lose the daily 50 on this, and we got a little bit of a low here that we can play with, about that 400, 401. If we lose that, sure, we could see about 395, maybe even lower here. So I definitely like John Deere to the downside if we get it. Let's see, XLE in general. Like I said, we grabbed some puts here on Friday, late Friday. Got some time with it. Basically, what we're doing is we're playing this break of support and looking for this move back down to at least, this is going to be our T1, target one, 82.70. That does line us back up with prior support down here from December. And that also lines us up with the daily 200. So we got a nice little key level here. Now, if we do lose the daily 200, yeah, it can get a little bit messier all the way down to about 79. And then, of course, if you want to take it even further, that would be your T3 technically. So we definitely got some pretty good clean levels here to work with as far as the XLE goes. We'll see if that comes to fruition. We definitely got time. Definitely want to keep my eyes on Microsoft. Microsoft, nice little gap up here on Thursday, and then Friday just kind of gave it away. And you do have that shooter candle that I was kind of talking about. That's pretty much all over the place. If you lose, what was that, 256 and some change, looking for gap fill at least to about 252. And then, of course, you don't have major support until about 242.04. So looking at Microsoft for some downside tomorrow, possibly, or throughout the week. Same thing with Amazon. Amazon, they had their earnings. Now, this is the one name that didn't really get bought up like Apple did. You had this kicking bear pattern, just got shot down off of the daily 200. It did not get bought up like a lot of the other names. And now we're just kind of seeing if we can continue that pattern lower here. So looking for a break of 102. For a move at least to about 98, maybe even all the way down here to 95. So Amazon definitely looking a little bit on the weak side. And then let's see, FCX looks like it is trying to hold on to support here. Let's remove this line because that one doesn't make sense anymore. That was a day trade line. Below 43, maybe 42.75 to retest. Maybe the daily 50 here on FCX. We have Pinterest. I know this one's a little bit interesting, but looking for some more upside within the future. Maybe not so much this week, but we'll see. Schlumberger looks like it could go further down. We lost the daily 50. Looking for a break below 52 to retest 50 there on Schlumberger. And let's see, we have General Motors. General Motors, pretty interesting spot here. We're right here at a resistance zone. Does it try to break above 42.15 and push on up towards 43, or do we just move on back down to retest the daily 50? Very much so sideways here. So it either breaks out or it doesn't. Just one of those things. And then SPCE, Virgin Galactic Holdings, definitely a high short interest name here. Needs to break 650 for a push towards 727. You got the clear lines here. Pretty obvious levels here. 650. That was a terrible line. I apologize. And then 730 up here. That where you're going to be paying attention to. Definitely a good small account candidate for this one. But all right, let's see here. AVGO, Oracle. I think we kind of know how those look. AVGO, yeah, AVGO needs to get above 610. Oracle has been an absolute market darling. Needs to get above 91 and just continue to push. But yeah, Oracle, man, this thing's been a beast all year long. Let's see, we talked about semiconductors. Tesla continues to be resilient. Um, we hit all the way up to this 200 level. 200, getting above that is definitely going to be a pretty the big next step. If we get above 200, sure, our next spot is going to be all the way up here at about the 230 mark, but could definitely take a breather. But look at this, how strong it is, how strong the bull market. I'll say that this in itself is a little bit of a bull market because you have all these green days, just a handful of pullbacks. All the pullbacks get bought up, and we just keep going higher. Momentum is pretty solid here. Volume confirms the move to the upside. So everything's looking pretty good. All right. So we got some questions here. U is the ticker. That's kind of funny. YOU. Clear Secure Inc. All right. This one's interesting. No idea what they do. No idea what they do. Let's see here. It looks like, is this a new issue? Newer, yeah. All right. So this is a weekly chart. We can draw our levels here. Ooh, that's a big spot. 34.83. I'm not long until you get a break above that. Once you get above 34.83, you got a little bit of a 4-point move there. Support, man, this thing's been strong over several weeks. So where do we want support? Probably retest these guys down here at about 31. All right, so break above 34.83 to push towards 38.78. That would be my next spot. Nice little bullish engulfed it. It engulfed. Yeah. If you happen to lose, I say if you lose 30, I wouldn't touch it. But as for things go, probably just kind of, if you're already in it, raise your stops and play it that way. If you're looking to get involved, either look for a pullback to that 31 level, if that, or on a smaller time frame, buy on a smaller time frame pullback. Definitely make sure what the overall market is doing. But yeah, this thing's been a little bit beastly. It will be a little bit risky to buy on the breakout, but you can definitely try the breakout and just have a stop below your, probably below here. That's probably where I would place my stop, because you don't want to get faked out on a move. What you don't want to happen is you break above and then you just get squished back on down. So you definitely want to, if you do play the breakout, just have a good stop to protect your risk there. You, that is funny. Lifelong tech enthusiast. Can I look at WTI and BLDP? And Pradeep wants to look at BA. Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at Boeing. Let's see, WTI, WT Offshore Inc. Yeah, is this is definitely energy. Looks a little bearish just from the initial onset look here. So 570, there's your zone. You had a little bit of a fake out move here, back on down. If you lose 570, maybe even 550, I don't see anything left until you come all the way back into 5. Let's zoom out to the weekly chart here. Yeah, a little bit sloppy as far as the weekly goes. You could argue, this is you're just kind of stair stepping here, maybe. Well, you had a low there, but that's besides the point. Double bottom, maybe a head and shoulder look here if you really want it. Yeah, lose 570, retest 5. I wouldn't really touch this one for too much, at least, or if you did, maybe nibble small, but I would look to short it. It looks more of a short than it does a long to me. Break below 570 for a move to 5. If you get back above 630, that's better. 630 to retest 670, and then $7 to the upside as far as WTI goes. And then your next ticker was BLDP, Ballard Power Systems. Okay, so this one looks a little bit better. So you came up above the daily 200, kind of failed from there. Support at about 620 and 570 zone. Let's go to the weekly chart here. Yeah, you're trying to curl. There's a lot of overhead resistance in this name for sure. So yeah, I know that's kind of messy. Let me try to redo that, but with my actual drawing tools here. Maybe we can do that. Either way, kind of get the picture here. Yeah, it's a little sloppy, but obviously a downward trend here. There's your low. That's going to be a big zone right there. There's your another zone. Yeah, look how much overhead resistance you have here. And of course, there's that low. So it looks better above 8. Above 8, you could retest about that 12 mark. It just looks nasty in general. This looks pretty beat up. You went from a high of 42.30 to Pennyland. That's generally not good in terms of fundamentals. I don't know what else they do besides power systems, but yeah, looks a lot better above those weekly zones. Let me draw that line here just to get a better idea where things are. Give me 1 second. Let's put that one here at about 18. Go to the weekly. Yeah, you got a long ways to go here. Yeah, if you lose this 660, I would send it back down. It looks better as a short than it does a long. I mean, you can try to capture this move back up to 9, but you got a lot of overhead resistance to take out. All of this is going to be a fight. You might have better luck putting the capital elsewhere, but if they try to hold 660, sure. I mean, you can try it, but I do not like the looks of this chart if it loses 660. So it's like at a do or die for me. Lose 660, send it all back down. If you hold it, try to raise your stops as you go along. Don't give anything back because man, they are holding this thing down like it's like their life depended on it. Let's see. Did I go over Delta? I did not. Let's see. Pradeep on the YouTube wants us to go over Boeing. So let's take a peek at Boeing real quick. Yeah, pretty impressive move. Consolidating for the most part. You see, I got all these lines here. Let me zoom out, make sure I don't need any of these because I do like to trade Boeing. You could have this nice little flag pattern here on the weekly, but as far as the daily goes, you can kind of see, let me get rid of this line and this line. Nice consolidation between 215 and about this 205, 200 level. If you lose 205, you could send it back down to 200 or 197.50. And maybe even that would be where the daily 50 kind of lines itself back up. So yeah, below 205 looks like a short to about 200 to 195. I like it for another long above 215. Get above 215, then we are looking much better. Let me zoom out here to 223, 225 zone as far as Boeing goes. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Airlines have definitely been having their field day for sure. They got earnings out of the way, which is good. So we are just kind of digesting that. Yeah, that might be on my watch list for tomorrow, actually. Thank you very much for sharing. But I'm going to be looking for a short if it breaks this support zone on Boeing 205. Lose 205, send it back down to 200, 197.50. Let's see. Did I touch base on Delta? Well, since we talked about Boeing, let's take a look at Delta, DAL. Let's see. Yeah, it's holding up for sure. I do believe we still have. Do we still have that position on? I do believe. I do believe we still have a long position here on. Yeah, we do. We still have a long position. Yeah, so that's confirmed by Shaman there. 39.62. Want to see this break back above it and push on up towards 42. Now, if we do lose this support level of 38.26, we could definitely fall to the downward side. So we definitely don't want that. Below 38 and a quarter, I'm out of that position. So that would be my stop out as far as that one goes. For the most part, holding up, just kind of like how Boeing is. Boeing looks more like a short than Delta does, but for the most part, we got earnings out of the way. Let's see, momentum could definitely be a little bit better here. In fact, I'm kind of seeing some divergence there. We may have to talk about that one tomorrow and revisit it for sure. Let's see here. Let's go to the weekly chart. Yeah, weekly chart still looks good. So, I mean, we still got plenty of overhead resistance and it's just a little bit messy. So, yeah, we might have to revisit this tomorrow for sure. Let's see. As AZZ. Oh, Lord. Oh, yeah, that's an ETF, isn't it? AZZ. Okay. No, they're not they're an enterprise. Is that what is this? I know Chris likes to talk about it. As Incorporated. AZZ. A leading provider of galvanizing and a variety of metal coating solutions. Okay. Based in North America. There you go. Ticker symbol AZZ. All right, let's see here. What's the deal here? Structurally speaking, not bad. Weekly, weekly maybe makes my head hurt a little bit. I think I like it better above this 47.50 mark. But for the most part, maybe just trying to hold support here at about 39. You're kind of in the middle of two zones here. So if you're looking to get in like now, you're trading at 43.34 with support all the way down here at about that 38.90 level. That gives you 3 to 4 points and some change with let's say that's 4 points. We'll just round it to 4 points. And then you have your resistance up here at 47.43. So that gives you, yeah, you're like right at midway. So 1-to-1 to risk reward. I don't really like that. I prefer things that are a little bit better on the risk to reward scale. I'm not saying you couldn't try it, but I probably wouldn't try it here when it's in the middle of that range. Too risky. You don't have meat left in the bone like we were kind of talking about earlier. That's a good one though. Zom, good old Zom, ExxonMobil had this nice little breakout above 114.66. We even played this breakout. Had a nice win off of it. Now we're just kind of coming back in. Is it a fake out? Oil, we talked about oil. Crude oil does not look too good in itself. Energy, natural gas, they both look kind of busted for the time being. You had this nice little inside day on Friday. They tried to send it up, couldn't. Now we're just kind of back down. Yeah, you got this nasty candle here from that glitch from 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that was fun. If you lose the daily 50, 109, 110, definitely don't like it below that. You lose that, could see 108, below 108. You can see my next zone all the way down here at 103, 30. So as far as everything goes, Zom's kind of in the no man's land unless it gets back above. If you get back above this 114.66 and back above the previous resistance, sure, you can try it for a new push to about 120. But once you kind of break this daily 50, I don't like that at all. Below 110 looks really nasty. To 103, I don't see much to kind of support you there. Let's see, T as in AT&T. Communication sector in general has been one of the leading sectors out there, definitely thanks to Netflix, for sure. Netflix has just been absolutely on a rampage over the past few weeks. Since their earnings, they've just absolutely been crushing it. Beautiful bottoming pattern way down here. You broke above resistance at 248.70, and you just kind of pushed on forward since then. So the communication sector definitely very impressive. That's been one of our spotlights within the market. As far as T goes, yeah, we did not get our move above 2050. Even after earnings, yeah, it's just been kind of held down below that since then. If your earnings gap puts you at about 1983, let me clear out some of these lines so I can kind of see here. Get rid of that. So yeah, boom, trash that. Yeah, you're just kind of stuck here. 2050 and 1975. You lose that, then you're pretty much looking for a gap fill all the way back down to 1915. That could be a good one. I'll write that one down too, in case we want to do that for small account. Da, 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 da. But yeah, I'm not too excited unless it gets above 2050. I hate that. I wish they would fix these candles. I thought they were. I don't know what the recent update is from that situation. Ugh, that was a headache of a day for sure. But yeah, break above 2050, room to 2150, and then lose 1975. You could go all the way back down to $19.16. Let's take a look at some of these financials. JP Morgan. We have noticed that there is quite a good bit of Maestro. I'll put you on mute, buddy. Financials, there's been a big inflow, it seems, as far as the data that I've been reading and charts that I've been seeing. There's been a pretty big inflow into banks, and especially regional banks and stuff like that. JP Morgan, you got this nice little resistance line here at about this 144 mark. Definitely looks pretty interesting to play with. I know on, what was it? Was it Friday or was it Thursday? Well, we played Bank of America with a small account. Looks like it's trying to push back above and hold above 36.30 with potential to push all the way up to 37.75. Morgan Stanley continues to be, pretty impressive here. Could be considered overextended. 100 psychological level is going to be a battle to deal with. But if you get back above 100, could see 104. I definitely like Burt B, but I don't think Burt B has had their earnings just yet. Yeah, Burt B is just kind of stuck in a zone between 314 and 305. Let's go over to let's see, we already talked about JP Morgan, Schwab and Citi. I think Citibank had a really good day. Oh yeah, no, it didn't. They had a really bad day on Friday. Let's go to Schwab. Yeah. Wells Fargo. Was that the other one? Yeah. Yeah, Wells Fargo looks pretty clean here. Needs to get above at least this short-term resistance, 48.36. But yeah, I definitely like Bank of America and JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. Those all look pretty decent. Let's see. Rather also wants to look at Ford, built Ford tough. They had news, didn't they, tonight? What was going on with them today? Oh, they got what are they doing? F1. They're doing that the new Ford versus Ferrari kind of thing. Yeah, you can kind of see where my levels are here on my chart. Stock Curry, he likes Citigroup and Ally. Ooh, Ally. I haven't looked at Ally in a minute. Okay. That one's going to be on my radar too. Nice little pattern here. Okay. Got a nice little zone here. Needs to break 36, 36.50 to push on further up. You got earnings out of the way. You got the dividend out of the way as well. So that's good. There you go. Nice shout out for Stock Curry. Yeah, it needs to break 36.50 for me technically to push on up towards 40. That one could be on a back burner watch as well. Nice little push here. You got that break here. There's your lower low. And then you have this. I love this gap here. I really love this gap here. That's a breakaway gap. Nice little trend. What's that weekly look like? Ooh, yeah, that just kind of confirms everything for me on the daily. You still got a lot of headwind up here to kind of deal with. That's a terrible. There you go. You got a lot of resistance overhead right here, but you definitely got levels to kind of work with for sure. It's not going to be easy, but you definitely have your key spots here. Ally has a good dividend as well. Oh, okay. Oh, y'all, we got people running the wheel. See, wheel gang, or I think what y'all are calling wheel gang now is corpse club or whatever. Y'all have a club. Yeah. Ally, really nice. How about that? Nice shout. Ford. Sorry, Rather. Ford here. So they did have news that they were doing Formula One or something like that. Let's see. Gap down, kind of held it, had its earnings, wasn't that spectacular. You're just kind of in the middle of things now, so not much good risk to reward. If it breaks down below 12, could see 11. Uh, Need it to get back above 1467. So yeah, you're just kind of stuck in for me, your middle range. But I mean, if you do lose the daily 50 again, yeah, it's generally not a good sign. Lose the daily 50, go back to 12. If you lose 12, go back to 11. It's got that news. We'll see if anything comes to life from it. Yawn. Yeah. Wah, wah, wah. Kind of same thing, General Motors too. General Motors, they're at an interesting spot. General Motors is more of an interesting spot than Ford is, if you ask me. Definitely sideways. As you can see, it's been stuck in a range between 42 and 30 for over a year now. You're up here at this upper end resistance. If you break above 42-ish, 41.30 to 42 zone, sure, you can get a little bit interesting there, but we'll have to see. Yeah, Citigroup. I don't know what happened the other day, but it was looking good. It had this nice break, technical break above 52.28, and then okay, you had dividend. That's why that'll do it. That'll do it. That'll do big. That'll do. So we'll see. So Citigroup needs to turn back course and get back above 52.28. You got a little bit of support there at about that 50 level. If you lose 50, maybe come back and retest these guys here. See how flat these moving averages are? I mean, that's flat. Not much excitement there. So we'll see. Yeah. If we do get that technical breakout, if it can turn itself around and, like the data suggests that money has been kind of flowing into some of these banks, it could be a pretty good play. Above 52.30, push to 54.25, above 54.25. Yeah, 58 even. Let me put that level here. Well, I don't know what these lines are from the past, so we'll just remove those. Yeah, nice clean levels here. I'm gonna put this one down here and put an alert on there as well. So that is Citigroup. I like it. Brady Fuzz, can you look at really Ally? Oh, okay, so C Miller on YouTube says Ally is a buy on his algo. There you go. Geom is buy. Okay, so he says Geom is a buy on his 3-hour chart as well. All right, Miller. Let's keep a good eye on GM. That is definitely on my watch list for the week. It's on my sticky note here. If you want to, I don't know if you can see it. I've gone over all these. If y'all need to rewind and go back, I don't think y'all could have saw it on there, but there you go. GM, yeah, I like it. Ally is a buy on his algo, so there you go. Interesting stuff there. We got some interesting parties here for Ally, Team Ally. Are you against us? Are you an ally or are you a foe? Reli, RELI. Reliance Global Group. Oof. Saw someone on Twitter saw someone on Twitter like the chart a ton, and it falls under the AI theme. Okay, so we know AI. What Shaman said, delete, run away. What do you see when you look at Rally? Um, I see a whole lot of bad. Zoom out here. You IPO'd all the way back here, had a high of 77, and you're now 50-cent stock. So that's not telling you anything. But a lot of those AI names are like that. Even AI, C3 AI was a pretty popular name when it came out, and it's now finally. Who knows? Sure, it'll take time for this to really kind of come to fruition, and as far as the charts go, but yeah, C3 AI. I mean, this breakout was absolutely incredible. Broke above that 15 level, and it's just been on a skyrocket since. Short squeeze, hype, chat GPT, AI is anything with AI is a hot item ticket. Uh, so yeah, I like where your head's at as far as that goes. But when why is this not running when all the other AI names are? Why is this one not running and the others are? Is there something? Yeah, there is a big difference between investing and trading, for sure. And when I see this, I'm just like, also I'm not a penny trader. Penny land is crazy to me. Not good technically, but another fundamentally undervalued stock is GT. Is that Goodyear Tire? Yeah, we'll take a look at. Let's see AI stocks, or let's see I don't know a bunch of them off the top of my head. I know AI was a big one for sure. Just want to make sure here. Is there a ETF here? Yeah, you got okay. I like how is Palantir really AI? Well, they did like all sorts of stuff. Palantir does all sorts of stuff. Speaking of Palantir, I like it above 9. Palantir above 9 looks pretty spunky. I know this is like probably one of the most frustrating names out there. Break above 9, you could see 10. But yeah, let me get back to Relly. I didn't really answer, levels here. I just kind of asked some open-ended questions to kind of try to make you think here. Um, let's see. You're looking at. So you shared your own chart here. Yeah, your hourly chart. Yeah, I mean, you got the volume profile there too. I mean, you get above 86 cents. You got a nice little volume gap to 180, where it was support. 180 was prior support. Is definitely going to be new resistance. So yeah, break above 86. That thing can spike for sure. I'm not going to play it until it gets above that. I wouldn't play it until it gets above that. Yeah, really. Oh, that's a weekly chart, not an hourly chart. Yeah, above 86 cents. I like it up there. Let's see. Let's go to, we can take a look at the weekly chart. I mean, I have to zoom in so much. Look how much movement I'm having to do on my charts here just to get a picture of it. Sure, you could consider this a little bit of a trap here. Yeah, if you get back below 50, I think you're done for. Not 50. What is that? Sean's like, I'm gonna short it to 0. Yeah, below 56, I think you're busted. Um, yeah, 86 cents for me, just based upon that volume. Confirm your Amazon short. I did. I think Amazon's a short. I think Amazon is a short. Penny. Speaking of Penny, there you go. Penny. Uh, yeah, look at that shooter candle on the weekly. And Amazon didn't get bought up like the other guys there had, so maybe a little bit room down to at least 98, maybe even to 92.30. The trap you speak of was the first day of the new year. Huh, there you go. GT Goodyear tire. Is that? Yep, Goodyear tire and rubber. Okay, a little bit better here. A little bit better here. I like it. Nice little gap to play with to 1263. Short below 1066 for a push to 966. Those are my levels for Goodyear. Clean cut and to the point. Long above 11 for 1263. Short below here to go to 966. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Netflix. I saw there was an article that they said that they didn't mean to release how they were going to do their password sharing stuff. I thought that was hilarious. Let's see. ED still in a zone here. Intel Core. Intel's interesting. Above 3110. It looks a little good there. Goldman, another financial name. Palantird, very interesting. PDD, China's got some work to do right now. Chewy could not get above 52. UNH, one of the biggest holdings in the Dow, looks pretty nasty. I mean, this candle here is just ugly. Now your inside day, maybe we get some push. 448 is my overall target on UNH, and that could be a good short. AbbVie, yeah, XLV in general just looks busted. Yeah, it's just been a slow grind here. You could call this maybe yeah, you're just channeling. You're channeled. Stock Curry also likes Master MSTR. Dude, Stock Curry coming out with some good stuff here. MSTR, yeah. Possible short squeeze, yeah. 6 days to cover, 68 utilization. Okay, so this is a Bitcoin name for sure. Yeah, I personally wouldn't mind shorting coin if I get the opportunity. Send it back down. Master is picking up some interest on Wall Street bets. I guess it all depends. C. Miller's kind of says, okay, so C. Miller says it's is also a buy, but what does he know? Hey man, we'll pay attention to it for sure. You got this gap level here at 302. Break above 302, 318 to fill the gap. Then then you get a nice move to 370. Yeah, it could be definitely a good interesting one. MSTR, GM, yeah. Nice shout. But yeah, definitely got to maybe keep an eye on Bitcoin to see what it does here. Maybe if you lose 274.80 here, you got a small gap to fill to 268 support. You still got pretty much support all the way down here. Maybe just ran a little bit too hard, needs some cooling down. Could, consolidate. Nice. All right. Any more questions? We've kind of gone over an hour here, but y'all have had some good stuff to look at. So that's always a good thing. I don't mind going over if we're doing stuff, if we're being productive. All right. So as far as everything goes, nice move by the Bulls. Powell's on Tuesday. Do we get a pause here? There's a lot of those shooter candles from Friday across the board. Maybe a little bit of a top hat pattern here and there. But for the most part, good job, Bulls. They continue to gobble up bad news, bad earnings. I think several things out there are buy the dip worthy. And if we do get a dip, just make sure that we hold. I think things right now are a little bit tricky just because we're so close to, we're right at resistance levels yet again. And we're just kind of extended. So what we would like to see is a little bit of a pullback, let stocks and the indexes kind of catch their breath a little bit and then push from there. Will we get a pullback at some point? Sure. If we do get a deeper pullback, let things kind of hold. But for the most part, everything looks pretty good for market bulls. And if we need to reevaluate, we will most definitely. We don't want to get married down to a certain thesis. We always want to keep our head on a swivel and have our key levels and manage our risk accordingly. Have a plan. Swaggy D, I didn't skip you, did I? You didn't ask anything. No, you're just showing angry man. Let's see. All right. Yeah, great tickers that y'all showed. I'll have my notes posted for y'all. And I'll get my watch list posted for you guys as well. If y'all are joining us on social media, I appreciate y'all for spending y'all's time tonight to join us. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or you can send me an email, fuzz@stockdads.com. I'd be happy to answer any kind of questions that you may have. Also, be sure to check us out at stockdads.com and check us out there as well. Next Sunday, I need to confirm it with the stock father, with DJ. We got Super Bowl next Sunday. Most likely what's going to happen is I will release my notes to everyone and my watch list. We probably won't go live, but if we come up with an idea, I'll be sure to let you guys know if we need to change something. But as far as I know, that's kind of what we'll go off of. But yeah, let's see here. Yeah. Happy Sunday. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. Put in the work. Let's get it. Let's have a good week next week. Let's see. As far as things go, let me check in on futures here. Futures are still a little bit lower. Yeah, futures are down. ES is down about 0.3%. The NASDAQ down about 0.4%. So plenty of time between now and the open. And then, like we said, let them open. I appreciate you, Shaman. Appreciate all of y'all. Thanks for the good questions. Thanks for the tickers, y'all. Y'all showed out some really good ones. But all right, I'll get these stuff posted for everybody. Thanks again for joining me this evening. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's evening and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night. And I will see you guys in the morning. Peace out. Take care. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. C. Miller, these notes are posted in the Discord. So if you are not a member of the Discord, you don't get them. I'm sorry. So yeah, these are specifically, but pretty much anything that I talked about is in the recording on YouTube. So if you need to go back and re-listen to it, pretty much I touch base on everything in my notes. Everybody in the Discord gets a nice hard copy of them. All right, cool beans. Take care. Thanks, guys. Good night.